Hello and welcome to this month's Lunch and Learn on meal planning and prepping. My name is Allison Knight and I am the on-site health coach for Employee Health Center. One of the first things that you want to do when you are looking to start meal planning and prepping to save time and money is to take a look at things that you might already have on hand. Areas that you want to check are the fridge, the freezer, and your pantry. Planning meals based on the ingredients that you already have can be budget and waistline friendly. Kitchen staple cooking, these are some ideas for things that you can probably make with things you already have on hand. So pantry chili, if you have a well-stocked pantry, you will typically have some type of tomato-based product, whether it's diced tomatoes or tomato sauce. You might have various types of beans. You probably have onions, maybe some peppers, some garlic, and assorted seasonings. If you want to add meat to your chili, you might have ground turkey or ground beef in the freezer. Ham and spinach quiche. We always have eggs in the freezer. This could also be any type of vegetable or protein source that you might have in the fridge or the freezer. And we always keep frozen pie crust in our freezer, but you can also make them from scratch. Same goes for the chicken pot pie. You can kind of throw whatever you want, any leftovers you might have in the back of the freezer or vegetables that might be starting to go bad into your pie crust and bake that. Shrimp fried rice, chicken parmesan, tuna salad or chicken salad. You can use canned tuna or chicken for this. You can use a rotisserie chicken, which shreds extremely easily. And then I also added in sausage and egg hash. So eggs don't need to just be for breakfast. You can have that for dinner. You can use the potatoes maybe that are going bad in your pantry. You might use frozen diced potatoes or hash browns, and then some type of protein. So stock up on some of these pantry basics. If they aren't already in your pantry, here might be some ideas to help you get it stocked well. Canned beans, assorted varieties, chickpeas, black beans, kidney beans, pinto beans, whatever type of bean you like. Canned tomatoes, this could be fire roasted. These could be rotel with different spices or other types of vegetables in them, such as peppers or garlic. Tomato sauce, tomato juice, I like to have these on hand because I like to make chili. Different types of broth, chicken, veggie, beef, organic if you want, bone broth. Potatoes, different types of potatoes. We typically have sweet potatoes and red potatoes or yellow potatoes on hand, whatever is your favorite. Fresh garlic is always nice to have on hand. Variety of different types of onion, yellow, white, red. Same thing with vinegars. Balsamic, rice, apple cider vinegar. We like to use rice vinegar for Asian cooking. And then balsamic vinegar I like to use on vegetables, especially bitter vegetables. Balsamic vinegar can help cut that. And it also makes a good salad dressing. Different types of oils. We mainly cook with olive oil, but we do use sesame oil as well for Asian cooking. You might use canola oil, grapeseed oil, avocado oil, whatever you prefer. Having dried herbs on hand is also nice. A variety is nice to have. Further on, you could also talk about storing these in your freezer when you buy big bunches of fresh herbs, such as parsley or cilantro are the ones that come to mind most often. You end up with this big bunch. Well, you can finely mince that, and you can either freeze them flat in a freezer bag, or you could freeze them in an ice cube tray with a little bit of olive oil and then use these for future use. Different types of whole wheat pasta. You can also get lentil pasta now or chickpea pasta. These are nice to have on hand because they're relatively cheap and they can be made pretty quickly in a pinch when you don't have anything planned. Minute brown rice is also a good one. Quinoa, which is nice because it cooks quicker than a regular brown rice or wild rice. Canned tuna or canned chicken. Again, tuna salad or chicken salad is always something quick and easy to have. Quick oats are nice to have for a variety of reasons, especially breakfast prep. And then different types of breads or wraps. You can keep these in the pantry if you buy more of a sprouted grain or a fresher bread, which is preferable. You might keep this in your fridge or your freezer. So fridge staples, these are types of things that are suggested to have on hand in your fridge. Parmesan cheese, really any type of cheese, but Parmesan cheese is a drier cheese, so it tends to last longer. Eggs. If you make hard-boiled eggs, which are a great protein-filled snack, it's actually better to use eggs that are a little bit older. The shells will come off more easily for peeling. Tortillas, typically you do want to go with a whole grain or whole wheat tortilla or wrap. Generally speaking, the spinach wraps or the sun-dried tomato wraps, although tasty, are still made with refined flour, don't contain as much fiber, and are missing a lot of those key nutrients that are found in whole grains. I always have lemon and lime juice on hand. These are great for seasonings, marinades. They give that little zing. You can keep these in your pantry as well, but I like them cold. Low sodium soy sauce. We do a lot of Asian cooking in our house, so we have this on hand. A ketchup, any type of mustard really, but Dijon mustard gives a little bit of a kick. You don't need to use too much of it. Having milk on hand, some type of plain yogurt. I have plain yogurt listed here, but we typically do plain Greek yogurt because it's generally higher in protein, and it also is a great alternative for sour cream with a lot less calories and even less fat, even if you use the full fat version, which is what we typically use. Having butter on hand is always good. Some of the vegetables we typically have and keep longer would be celery, carrots, and some type of lettuce, whether you want romaine or butter or Bibb lettuce. Maybe you like more of a red leaf lettuce. Typically, the more colorful the lettuce, the more nutritious it's going to be. So even though you might like iceberg lettuce, there really isn't too much nutrition. So trying to swap that out occasionally is a good idea. And then we like to make quiches because you can have them for breakfast, lunch, dinner, whenever really, and they freeze really well. So I typically have ham cubes on hand to make that, and then toss in whatever vegetables I have available. And lastly, freezer staples. So as mentioned before, I have pie crusts in our freezer. I like the deep dish ones. You can also make your own pie crusts and freeze them. Having a variety of frozen vegetables on hand, spinach, peas, corn, etc., whatever you prefer. Sometimes I get questions about frozen vegetables. Generally speaking, frozen vegetables are a great option. Sometimes they can be more budget friendly. Frozen vegetables and fruits are generally picked at their freshness level, their peak freshness level, and then flash frozen. So a lot of times they actually maintain a lot more nutrients than maybe some of our fresh fruits and vegetables. Especially living here in Wisconsin, our growing season is only so long. We can only grow so many things here. And thinking about how long did it take for that specific fruit or vegetable to reach us before we actually have it on our table. The longer that it sits, the longer the nutrients, or the more the nutrients start to degrade. So again, same thing for the frozen fruit. Berries, peaches, tropical fruits are nice to have this way. Frozen potatoes, having frozen diced potatoes or hash browns for a quick meal. We usually have frozen chicken breasts, some type of fish or shrimp. These thaw pretty quickly, so if you forget to pull them out earlier in the day, running them under cold water for 5-10 minutes typically gets them thawed. You can also cook them from frozen if you prefer. I personally like to thaw them because I think they taste a little drier if you cook from frozen. Some type of lean ground beef or ground turkey is nice to have in there, and then pita bread. We typically have naan bread, the little naan breads from Costco in our freezer, so Naan, which is like an Indian, Middle Eastern style bread. We like to use that if we make certain veggie and protein dishes, like shawarma, for instance, or we make little flatbreads on that. And that's a pretty easy dinner to make then. Kind of going back to the frozen fruits and vegetables, we didn't talk about it for the pantry basics, but canned vegetables are also, and fruits are also totally okay to have. Generally speaking, sodium is higher in canned vegetables and beans, but simply rinsing and draining them can reduce the sodium content by 60%. Same thing for fruits, trying to go with 100% juice or water, trying to avoid the syrups as much as possible, but again, draining and rinsing. In the scheme of things, the sugar content in canned fruit only accounts for 2% of our consumption of added sugar in the United States. And the benefit of eating fruits and vegetables, if that's more budget friendly or the only way that you like them, is definitely going to outweigh a little extra sodium or sugar. So the first step after checking your pantry, freezer, and fridge is to create your menu. Decide how many meals you'd like to make. Meal prepping doesn't need to be all or nothing. It can be just one meal a day. Maybe it's just a couple days a week that are extremely hectic for you. And it's also good to prep snacks as well. Snacking sometimes gets a bad rep, but snacking is actually good for us. It can keep us fuller longer. It can boost our energy. It can keep our blood sugar more even. It's just about pairing the right things together. Create meals based on what we already have on hand, which we just talked about. Look through cookbooks or online to get some ideas if you're kind of sick of doing the same thing. Try having themed days. So we've all heard of Taco Tuesday, but maybe on Tuesdays you make something Mexican themed. Maybe on Mondays you do meatless Mondays. Maybe you have a super slow cooker Sunday. And that's a good way to also have leftovers for the week or to freeze part of the meal for later. And then write down your menu. We have a menu board. I'm more likely to use or cook what I say I'm going to cook if I have it written down. So that might be a good tactic for you as well. Then make your list. So, check your store's ad as well to see if there's anything on sale, if there's any in-store coupons, and write your list based on the layout of your particular store. So typically produce is one of the first things that's there when you enter. So write down all of the produce, the fruits and vegetables that you need. Instead of writing recipe by recipe, write it out by your layout. You're less likely to start buying things that aren't on your list. You're less likely to get sucked into the sales on the end caps. And also eating something before you go. We tend to grab more and less healthy options if we go when we're starving. Another helpful tip is to pick a regular day to go. Maybe that is Saturday morning when it's busy because that works best for you. Or maybe you prefer to go on a Tuesday night right after work when it maybe isn't as busy. Keeping a running list can also be helpful. So as soon as something is used up or is going to be gone soon, you can check it off on your list or write it down to have it available for when you go to the grocery store next. We actually have a notepad we got off Amazon. It says all out of on the top and it lists things in sections, and we can check off what we're missing, write in what we're missing and what we need when we go to the store next. And it's magnetized and sits right on our fridge, so it's super convenient. So let's talk about the different types of meals. For breakfast prep, making a double batch of scrambled eggs can be helpful. When you're already making breakfast, make a double batch. You can use the extras for breakfast burritos. Using leftover chopped veggies, so maybe veggies that are about to go bad, or veggies that you previously froze after they were about to go bad. Using leftover sausage, chicken, or ham. Again, these are things that you could store in the freezer until you're ready to use them if they're going to go bad. And then also freezing almost overripe fruit. These can be great for little smoothie packs. That's great for smoothies. Some breakfast freezer meal ideas. Breakfast burritos. These are super easy. Again, I usually make some extra scrambled eggs. I put a little bit of salsa on my whole wheat tortilla. I add the scrambled eggs, some type of protein and vegetables, a little bit of cheese. I roll them up. I put them in plastic wrap, seal them in a freezer bag, write the date on them, on the bag, and then I nuke them for about 1.5 minutes on 50% power to defrost them, and then 1 minute to 1.5 minutes at full power, and they're super tasty and the perfect temperature. Breakfast sandwiches are also super easy to do. I get a whole grain or whole wheat English muffin, cut it in half. I bake the eggs in a muffin tin. You poke the yolk and season it with what you want. Usually I do salt and pepper and that's it. And you bake it for about 10 to 12 minutes at 350 degrees, and then you assemble it. You put your egg on there, you put, if you want to put a sausage patty or Canadian bacon or cheese or some type of vegetable, stack the top of the English muffin on top, roll that up in plastic wrap, and again, stick it in a freezer gallon-sized bag with the date and what it is. And pretty much the same thing, 1.5 minutes defrosting at 50%, and then about 1 minute to 1.5 minutes at full power, and it's the perfect temperature. Egg muffins are super nice because they're easy to make. It's kind of like mini quiches. You just bake them right in the muffin tin. I would highly recommend using silicone cups for this though. The egg tends to stick in aluminum pans and then you have to scrub them. So highly recommend regular muffin liners, or I like to personally use the silicone ones. These are nice because you can throw in whatever you want. Veggies, cheese, protein, and they're super easy to add variety to them. And then lastly, smoothie packs. So you can make a ton of different types of smoothies, different fruit. You can add spinach, you can make a green smoothie, you can add different types of vegetables. I also like to freeze plain Greek yogurt in ice cube trays and add those in there, so that's my protein source typically. And then you just throw that in your blender with a little bit of water, juice, or milk, and you have a smoothie ready to go. Some breakfast meal prep ideas. Homemade granola, which you can then use in yogurt or make yogurt parfaits or just eat as a snack. Overnight oats. This is generally a 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 ratio. So if you do a cup of oats, it's generally 2 cups of milk, whatever type you want. You can add a lot of different toppings in there. That's what's pictured here. So we have like a banana chocolate chip one, we have an almond blueberry one, a cinnamon apple one, a berry one, a cinnamon pecan one, and it looks like coconut orange. So you can add whatever you want to these, and the variety makes it not so boring. Same with chia pudding. You can pretty much do the same toppings for this, and this is a 4-to-1 ratio. So you only want 1/4 cup of chia seeds to 1 cup of whatever type of milk, coconut, almond, soy, cashew, whatever you want regular. The chia seeds expand a lot, so you need a small amount of that and more milk. Baked oatmeal. I've made pumpkin maple baked oatmeal before, banana peanut butter. I've made a berry one. These are really nice. You can cut them into squares, roll them up in plastic wrap and freeze them to heat for when you're on your way out the door. And then sheet pancakes or pancake muffins. So you can either make them in a big sheet pan like a cookie sheet, or you can make them in individual muffin tins. And again, you're kind of just adding whatever you want. I add a little bit of Greek yogurt to add that protein, and it's just something easy to grab since breakfast is typically the hardest meal for most people to get in because we're rushing around in the morning. Now, lunch prep. For lunch, it's really nice to have different types of beans on hand, canned fruit, various nuts and seeds, and chopped vegetables. Sometimes I hear that salads are boring, but if you're adding enough variety, they really aren't. Maybe you have a Greek-style salad with chopped tomatoes, cucumbers, feta cheese, Kalamata olives, and a Greek yogurt dressing made with Greek yogurt, a little bit of water, some garlic, and a little bit of sriracha sauce. Or you might have an Asian-style salad. So maybe wonton strips, slivered almonds, mandarin oranges, green onion, and some type of sesame oil, garlic, ginger dressing. Or you might have a Southwest style salad. So black beans, corn, red peppers, tortilla strips, and then you have, like a spicy ranch made with salsa or Frank's hot sauce. Having a variety of grains on hand, brown rice, quinoa, amaranth, and these are really nice to make a big batch of ahead of time. Safety standards suggest that these can last in your fridge up to 5 days. So you can have that and add, whatever type of veggies or protein you want on top of that. And then having whole grain wraps and breads on hand for wraps and sandwiches. Some lunch meal prep ideas. Med couscous bowl. So this is one of my personal favorite things to make. So I get the pearl or Israeli couscous, so the big couscous. I typically get the whole grain. You cook this up. You chop up whatever type of vegetables you like. I like to chop up tomatoes, grape tomatoes, cucumbers, red onion, and a variety of different colored peppers. And then I put chickpeas on it. You could put any type of bean you want on it. I've also grilled chicken for my husband to eat with it. And you can make this different every day, which is nice. And then a simple vinaigrette for the top, which is balsamic vinegar, olive oil, a little bit of Dijon mustard, garlic, salt, pepper, mixed up and then drizzled on top of it, and it's super tasty. The one pictured is Greek chicken bowl, and again, you could swap out your protein, you could swap out your vegetables, and it's served with a tzatziki sauce. You can make a variety of wraps. You can make chicken salad or tuna salad, which you can eat on a wrap. You can eat on rice. You can eat on a lettuce wrap. You can eat it on a croissant. Burrito bowl, where you can switch up the protein and the vegetables and the grain as well, and salads, which we already talked about. Prepping ahead of time, as soon as you get home from the grocery store, it's helpful to just cut up your protein right away. You're already committing that time for grocery shopping. Just tack on an extra 20 minutes to do it and get it done. I'm personally more likely to go in the refrigerator and grab carrots, celery sticks, pepper sticks, strawberries, grapes, whatever, if they're washed and cut up and ready to eat, instead of going in and grabbing some snacky food that I don't really need in the pantry. Cut up vegetables ahead of time can also be used for soups and stews. Remember, if they're starting to go bad, throw them in the freezer, and these will be great to use for soups and stews in the future. Marinate and cook meat ahead of time. We make a chicken satay, which is pretty much seasoned with turmeric and cumin, salt, pepper, garlic, ginger, all sorts of stuff. But the point is we make this marinade, we throw in our protein, and then I freeze it, and then it's super easy to either thaw it out ahead of time or just throw it in the slow cooker or crock pot and have it made when I get ready or when I get home from work, or shortly after I throw it in. Making double batches can be super helpful. If you're already cooking, just plan on making a double batch and freeze it for later. And then chop and freeze leftover herbs, which we also talked about earlier. Dinner freezer options. Quiche, again, I like quiche because it's super easy and you can throw pretty much whatever you want in it and you can eat it whenever. Chicken satay, which I just mentioned. Marinated beef. We typically do this more of an Asian style theme. And then we make it with broccoli or green beans. Meatballs are another really great thing to make ahead of time and then freeze, because you can use it for spaghetti, you can make subs, you can make Swedish meatballs. Pro tip, freeze them as flat as possible and then put them in a plastic bag for easy storage. Otherwise, they're going to stick together. Chicken enchiladas or any type of enchilada, beans, cheese, chicken, pork, beef. Put what you want in there, roll it up in a tortilla, and then freeze it. That's super easy to pull out and cook later. And any type of pot pie too, again. You can kind of clear out your refrigerator or freezer and throw whatever you want in there. Put the crust on top, bake away, and dinner's ready. And then dinner crock pot. So I highly recommend pulling out your crock pot and using it as much as possible if you don't already do. It's super easy, it's super convenient, and it's nice to have a hot meal waiting for you when you come home. I know some people are a little bit hesitant leaving it on during the day, and I can understand that. Typically, putting it on low for 8 hours is a good way to go. Chicken tacos are super easy. You can lay frozen chicken breast on the bottom, dump salsa on it, add a little taco seasoning or, chili powder if you want. I like to put some lime juice in there, and then I throw in some cilantro at the end, and you can shred it super easily. You can use it for tacos, burrito bowl, whatever you want. Honey garlic chicken, which is pictured here. Again, a pretty easy recipe. We make it with skin on, bone in chicken thighs. I have made it with skinless, boneless chicken thighs. I have made it with chicken breast, and it does not turn out the same. You also cut up carrots, red potatoes. I cut up celery too. And then the dressing is some low sodium soy sauce, honey, ketchup, garlic, oregano, salt, and pepper. You just dump that all in your crock pot, set it on low for 8 hours, and then the last 20 minutes of cooking you throw in green beans. This you can make ahead of time and freeze and then dump in your crock pot. This also freezes well after you've already cooked it, and it's a favorite in our household. We also make chicken tortilla soup, which is super good and easy. Again, chicken breast, frozen or thawed, flat on the bottom of your crock pot. Dump chicken broth on top of it, 1 diced onion, 1 to 2 minced cloves of garlic, a can or 2 of roasted tomatoes or rotel, chili powder, cumin, a little salt and pepper, black beans or any type of bean you prefer, and corn at the end. And then we cut up whole grain tortillas, put a little bit of olive oil on it, sprinkle some paprika, chili powder, some type of Mexican taco seasoning. Throw it in the oven at 350 for 10 minutes to get them a little crispy, and I sprinkle these on top of the tortilla soup. Super good. You can make homemade chicken noodle soup in the crock pot, adding your noodles at the end. It's also best to add these already cooked, otherwise it sucks up a lot of your broth. If you've never cooked sweet potatoes or baked potatoes in your crock pot, this is also something you can do. You want to wash your potatoes like you would normally do. If you want, you can rub a little bit of olive oil on them and season them with a little bit of cracked salt. You want to roll them in aluminum foil twice. Throw them in your crock pot, and you can cook them on low for 4 to 6 hours, or on high for 4 to 6 hours, and on low for 8 hours. And they're pretty much perfect, like just the right consistency and texture and temperature when you are all done. You can also make beef and broccoli in there, or minestrone soup. Lastly, snack prep. Snack prep is always a good idea as well. It's nice to have things that are already portioned out and the right food groups put together that are easy to grab. So veggies and dip, whether you're doing veggies and hummus, veggies and peanut butter, veggies and some type of dip, which might be ranch. They have a lot of Greek yogurt style dips now, which are great because, as I mentioned earlier, there's more protein in it, so it's more filling. They're typically lower in calories and fat, even if you go with the full fat version. Yogurt parfaits are great. You can just bring, a pre-portioned yogurt or one that you've put in a container already. You can put your homemade granola on there, berries, other types of fruit, sliced nuts. Nuts and cheese is also a good snack, but pre-portioning those out so you're less likely to eat more than you need to. Pinwheel wraps, so cutting wraps into pinwheels and taking, 2 or 3 of those instead of an entire wrap for a snack. Energy bites. There's a lot of different recipes for these, which typically involve some type of nut butter as a binding agent, chia seeds, chocolate, dried fruit. You can have a ton of options, and then trail mix. Making your own trail mix can be helpful because you can control the type of nuts and fruit that are going in there and making sure that they're lightly salted, unsweetened. You don't really need to add more sugar to fruit. And then pre-portioning those out so that they're easy to grab and you're not eating more than you need to. And lastly, there's an app for that. There is an app called Mealime, and that is not a spelling mistake. That is free, and it can help simplify and plan healthier meals for you and your family. It allows you to choose your likes, and then it creates a list based on what you've chosen that you like and dislike. It also automatically creates a grocery list based on the ingredients you need for the recipes that you choose. Gives you step-by-step instructions, and most of the meals are ready in less than 30 minutes, which is convenient for busy people. That is the end of our meal planning and prepping lunch and learn. If you're interested in making a healthy behavior change, or if you have any questions, my contact information is listed down below. Shoot me an email or give me a call, and visit our website below. You can check out our Facebook page and our Instagram, and and potentially our YouTube channel if that link is finally working. This will be available there along with our Mindful Monday videos. And if you check out our Instagram and our Facebook, we also have Fitness Friday and Wellness Wednesday tips for health and wellness. Thanks so much for joining me, and we'll see you next month.